on February 3rd. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Morning, everyone.
Morning.
Call the meeting to order. Looking for approval of the agenda, and I would like to put item number 4 in front of item number 3.
With that change, I'll make a motion to approve that.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Number 4 in front of number 3. Invert in 3 and 4. Looking for approval of Monday, January 27th meeting minutes.
So move. Second.
Motion and second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. New business, Manning House Barn funding request.
Would you like us to stand up here and can I bring
There's-
your two that are?
There's 2 microphones there. Introduce yourselves and then we'll go around the board, around the table here too.
Okay. You can go ahead and join me, Jeremy, and then. Yep. Okay. Good morning. I'm Jean Statlander. I am on the House Barn Heritage Park Board, and I have a few other board members with me that will be visiting with you about the iconic park that's in your southwest corner of Carroll County. And we have prepared several things for you to look at the House Barn Heritage Park. I've seen a few of you over the years at the House Barn. We celebrated 25 years this past in 24. And like you and a board that takes care of a nonprofit, we are always leveraging dollars and looking at what we can do to partner. And we do very many partnerships with our House Barn Heritage Park that allows us, and our biggest partners are the city and municipalities and many different area businesses that have helped us throughout the years. And we have one paid director and a part-time maintenance person, along with committed and dedicated board members to see that this iconic park moves on for the next 25 years. It is home to the historic 1600 house barn, the Lead Hassler Farmstead, which is on the historical registry, the Trinity Church, the campgrounds, which we received from Carroll County and took over the campgrounds and made those into very active and a revenue for our park. The Freedom Rock and the Carroll, the Charters of Freedom setting. And so with that, we have found that we needed to do different things. We have several events that are fundraisers for the House Barn. We have come to the Board of Supervisors to be and asked in the past, in the 25 years, we have not ever received any tourism dollars. We're looking to see that if what we want to do and leverage these dollars for future generations, we're looking at doing different initiatives. We work side by side with our city. Trails have been put into Manning, and the trail runs right next to the city park. We are in the back door of the school, which is a classroom, outside classroom for our classes at school. And we have many school tours and different over 45,000 visitors came through the House Barn last year. So with that, we're doing different initiatives to bring attractions and partner with many other areas. We want to look at tours for Carroll, Templeton Distillery, with Audubon, the Danish Mill, and our historic downtown for other tours to promote our area. And so with that, I'm going to have other board members share for the ask if you would consider giving to our project. And I know you would like to see a project and what that will do in turn for years to come. As you know, in Manning, we don't sit idle. We like to partner, do other things, leverage our dollars, apply for grants. We do have a new bank coming to Manning, new housing, and Jeremy, I'll also share what the utilities have done as well And with that partnership and for us to grow, we need to be on top of going to the next level to allow this for many visitors to come to our area. So I'm going to turn it over to Jeremy and Ben, other board members that will share their aspect in the ask for tourism dollars to come to the House Barn Heritage Park.
Well, good morning, guys.
Morning.
Morning.
Jeremy.
And I am also the chairman of the Board of Adjustments now, so that was an exciting meeting. Somebody made the motion quicker than I did. So with that, I've been here, a couple of your new faces for me, but we put in 24 miles of natural gas pipeline throughout the county. I think the biggest thing with this house barn is the utilities commitment to the county. So the Freedom Rock sits for the county right inside our park. We got a grant and it's about $36,000. As you guys know, all of them need covered. The paint will not sustain long-term. So the maintenance side of it, when we talk tourism dollars, right? Taking people around to different aspects of what we have to offer in the county. So when we put in the natural gas pipeline, one of the customers that we helped, who is a employer and feeds a lot of the hogs around here, is FAC. So partnering outside of Manning is something that we're very used to, right? That was a almost $7 million project. 2 years ago, we put in over 100 miles of rural fiber with grant dollars. We picked up 75 Carroll County residents that now have high-speed internet that not a lot of other people were signing up to do. And it's about people staying on the farm. This park is about showing the heritage that's throughout this county. But as you know, maintenance is expensive. So when you start carving out dollars, grants always have an ask behind them, right? It's never just going to cover everything. So when you look at the Freedom Rock, besides anything else in the investment the utilities made with this facility long-term, it's a daunting task to make sure it exists. And now with the weddings that we talk about bringing new people and new money, right? If I always go ask everybody in town to give me $1, it's the same dollar that we just keep trading, right? But when we bring in weddings into the county, as you know, our hotel's not going to house everybody. They end up in Carroll and other parts of the county staying in VRBOs and Airbnbs. And we're almost to the point where every Saturday is booked throughout the summer season. And now we're starting to see more and more come in the winter. And the crazy part is most of those people are not from Carroll. They're not from Manning. We've become a destination place for something different for people to meet from the east side of the state and the west side of the state, out of Omaha. We bring in a lot of different people, and that maintenance cost is kind of the one thing I wanted to hit on. So when we look at how do we educate people on what we have and what we can bring back to the county, it's not just about Manning. We can't be the brightest star. We need help, and we need to make sure that we're educating people of what we have and what we can offer, but also we have to maintain everything else. So some tourism dollars that we can earmark just for that with your guys' assistance enables us to help maintain the rest of the facilities, right? And that's the biggest thing. But appreciate the conversation this morning. The one thing I would add, there's an ask for dollars in there. If it's something we can look at over a 3-year term with smaller amounts or whatever we need to do to partner. The biggest thing is we want to make sure for the foreseeable future that this is sustainable in a manner of which is good for the county, not just for Manning.
Thank you. My name is Ben Puck. I'm from Manning and lifelong resident down there. Heavily invested in the community. I am chair of the House and Grounds. So the last 2 years, we've carved out another 1.9 acres of facility down there, which is basically clearing a bunch of trees out, bringing in some dirt work, forming and shaping. We have found that we are filling a need in a vast community, even outside the state, to host events. And 3 of the events that we hosted last year were had to do with horses, silly enough. We had a great turnout for them. The largest one, or the most prestigious one, was in October, which was we hosted a Carriage Classic. And so we created a arena down there on some ground that was all cleared out, needed to be cleared out as well. Recycled a lot of those trees privately, so that got done very well. So success begets some challenges. And what we'd like to do is work on the farmstead to bring it up to standard so we can host 2 events in one weekend. We have the weddings on one hand, we have these outside events on the other hand. And of course, you know, when the horse folks show up and the bride and groom are coming out of the church, it's a little bit, well, that situation just can't exist. And so we're looking at doing is taking one of the buildings that we have on the grounds and refurbishing it. It was probably reshingled probably about 35 years ago. Shingles are starting to come off. Obviously, it's on the historical registry. Needs to go back on with that light type of shingle. We're consulting with Peter Frank for that type of work because he's an expert in historic preservation. What we can do is just clean that thing, you know, bring that barn up to speed so we have another place to host. So there seems to be, if we follow the crowds, there seems to be a great need to host. We should be a community that hosts people, and we can accept events. We can give them what they want as far as a place to play, a place to relax, a place to share common goals. And we accidentally found out there's a great need for it. And we're making these things a 2-day event when it's appropriate. Because these folks don't want to work all day. They want to play a little bit in the mornings. They want to relax in the afternoons, want to finish up their playing on the following day and go home. It's kind of like a family reunion to them. Right now, we're just a little bit short on that, being able to accomplish that in a professional way, in a way that really makes it an enjoyable experience. So my request is to also help us out if you can, because what we'd like to do is be able to share the wealth with the entire community or to all of our stakeholders. And we put up signs, we advertise this appropriately. We give them other venues. We've got the distillery, got hotels, we've got food up here in Carroll. We've got a lot of options, and it's a very short drive, and it's very accessible.
Thank you.
So thank you for anything that you can consider. We're looking at some partnerships.
It's a nice gem in the southern part of the county. I was there for the Charters of Freedom, that ceremony, and your 25-year anniversary, and both those were very well attended.
Yeah. And
We have 7 states through the horse shows represented that came, and again, they all can't stay in Manning, so we had folks in different areas, but I think there were 7 or 8 states that brought horses and animals in, and so it's a pretty unique opportunity.
it's a wonderful opportunity because, like we have, the Roselle, the Helper, even Children's Day, those types of events go on in our county, in our smaller settlements. And they're very well attended. That's so I get to catch up with everybody I haven't seen for the last year, right? Well, so we found a place or a way that we can bring people in from states. They bring money as if you really want to use the sickness of money for an excuse. But what we're doing is actually giving them an opportunity to enjoy each other and spend time with each other. And hopefully at a cost or a value that they are willing to afford. And so affordability is very, very key. You can borrow all the monies, you can run it as a business. You can't make the cash flow. These extra dollars that come in, if it is for the benefit of the multitude, seems as though it's pragmatic. And so I'm simply here to help ask you guys if you want to be a part of that partnership, because it's very, very important.
I think you guys do a great job also now. Does this have to be done right away, or could we phase it in if money's gonna be tight this next year for sure?
I understand.
And,
And I think if it's phased in, I think that's wonderful. It gives us a little bit of, to take a few dollars from here,
yeah,
I ran a business for quite a while and probably not very well, but you gotta rob Peter to pay Paul, right?
just asking, I want to make sure about it.
And,
Your foundation does a nice job.
And on that,
Looks nice.
the incremental side of things from, I just like you guys, I house to a budget that I set with the state, and we stay within the confines of our means, and one of the things that I think you're gonna wanna see is what your money actually being spent on, right? So that was the part that I would challenge you, if we can partner and there's dollars that we can use. I think the ask is for us to come back and show you how they've impacted the county, not just Manning.
Please do.
And on that, how many of you guys have actually been on the tour? Couple of different.
Yeah.
So if you haven't, the invitation's there. You let us know if you guys want to come. We can at least show you the grounds and some of the things we're doing. And I think that would help solidify some of the other needs that we have and also put a bow on the request of why it's important long term.
So Jeremy, if we were to donate this year, it would come out of local option sales tax, which is what your dollars or the people are bringing. So it's not levied money on people's property taxes.
Yep.
And no decisions have been made on anything yet. We haven't finalized our budget, but we'll be in touch.
Yep.
I will,
Thank you
I will
for
say
making
it is a gem down there in Manning. I mean, it's very unique, facility. One thing I do want to clarify, and you stated that we've never given any money to Heritage Foundation Park, that we have in the past. Am I right, Courtney? But, well, I'm pretty sure we have, because
And
You're
please
cut- you're-
correct me if
you're-
so. I
the bu-
refer to
you're,
Courtney,
board member that used to be on there,
Frida Hammond.
Rita, she was up
She
here all the
happens to be
time.
here today. Yes.
But I'm sure that we have given money in the past.
No.
Thank you for your past donation.
There you go.
There you go.
Good answer.
Oh,
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure it was correct when
Good
we
answer.
asked, because we understand that you have to share your love. And you know what, for every other entity and icon, we want Hidden Flourish because we want them to see that area so it attracts them to many more.
Yeah, and I don't know how we donated it, but I know that.
anything.
Just write a check, Gene, out of your.
Gene, that's probably you.
That was.
I don't know.
Well, it's how many you have.
I don't think most people know what Charters of Freedom is either. It was the closest I've ever come to seeing the real Constitution.
Yeah.
That is an area that just
Isn't there
about-
4 of those in the US?
Well,
This is the only one this side of the Mississippi.
Okay, there was something
Where's
about,
one in Iowa?
okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the coolest place.
Yeah.
Yeah, and part of that with the Freedom Rock is to cover that as well, was one of the recommendations, so.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Item number 2, acknowledge receipt of City of Carroll letter. Last Wednesday, January 28th, the Carroll County Board of Supervisors got a letter. I'll read it. Dear Board of Supervisors, on October 4th, 2024, the Board of Supervisors gave the City Council 2 options to move forward with a 28E agreement for zoning within the 2-mile area. Option 1, eliminate the 28E agreement entirely and the county begins to supervise the 2-mile area. Item number 2, rescind the size of the 2-mile area to 1 mile. The Board of Supervisors wanted to meet with the City Council to discuss these options. Supervisor Anderson and Supervisor Hausman met with City Council member Bauer and City Council member Bordenero. The meeting was a positive meeting, but things weren't finalized, nor was anything directed to the full council to finalize a proposal. The second meeting was scheduled where Supervisor Hausman was not present at the meeting. At that meeting, some discussion was had, but nothing could be finalized. The full council had been waiting for direction from the Board of Supervisors as to what they would like as the next step. The city is very willing to continue discussions with the Board of Supervisors to develop a new 2080 agreement that both the council and the Board of Supervisors would agree to approve. Respectfully, City of Carroll, Aaron Quaker, City Manager. So moving on, that's just acknowledgement. There's no vote on that. So moving on to item number 4, which is now item number 3. Consider vote on resolution 2025-005, rescinding City of Carroll 28E 2-mile zoning agreement.
Are you gonna ask for comments from?
Huh?
You can ask for comments?
After we get,
Okay.
I'm moving toward that. So I'll read section 1 of County Attorney John Worden drafted this. This is resolution 2025-005. Carroll County entered into a 28E agreement with the City of Carroll, filed with the Secretary of State on June 26, 2008, concerning the city's authority for zoning control within the 2-mile zone of the city. The agreement and any and all other related resolutions, ordinances, and motions of the Carroll County are repealed effective 30 days from the passage of this resolution. So what I was looking for was a motion and a second, and then we would open it up for anybody that wants to speak. And then the supervisors can talk amongst ourselves and then vote.
Make a motion to rescind or remove the 20 2-mile agreement with the city.
And I will second.
So we have a motion and a second. So at this time, I would like to know if anybody in attendance would like to speak in favor of keeping the current 28E agreement, and then I'll give a few people if they wish to talk a couple minutes, and then we can hear from those who are in favor of eliminating the 28E. So if anybody wants to speak, state your name and address, please. We can allow 3 minutes each.
3, I can make that. If you'll let me read, I can make it.
Okay.
Thanks very much for having me here today. I'm Jerry Fleshner, 1943 Lois Avenue in Carroll, Iowa. I'm coming here today as Carroll's mayor, representing Carroll as their mayor and representing the city council as our response. First of all, the Carroll City Council believes they have been working in good faith with the Board of Supervisors and your concerns about the current agreement. We're aware that there have been concerns brought forth that deserve action. For the most part, the 28E 2-mile agreement has served well for many years. So well, in fact, that until recently, most people weren't even aware of it. We don't want to forget that this was an agreement created to benefit both the county and the city. It was not forced on either party. It was created by the two parties together. City Council representatives met twice to identify problems with the current agreement and to discuss possible fixes with members of the Board of Supervisors. One of the main issues appeared to be higher inspection fees charged by the city. And we've indicated a willingness to adjust that to be similar to county fees. We have also indicated a willingness to better define the 2-mile zone because there were concerns about that than how it is currently written. And I'd like to suggest that the county attorney and the city attorney could get together to do that very thing for approval from council and the supervisors. I visited with council members about the possibility of a quarter mile zone of protection, which is what you're discussing today. And for perspective, I want to say that distance is shorter than hole number 1 at the municipal golf course. That's what a quarter mile is. Just think of that. If you've golfed, or even if you've seen it, that's the distance that we're talking about as being protection for the city. No member of the council believes that this is a good idea. And here are some of their concerns. One is the potential for city growth being negatively affected. That would be with other things moving into the area. Secondly, some property owners in the 2-mile area have expressed concern that their properties could lose value. There's also concern that not many of these landowners have been contacted for their opinion, and that was something that was brought to us by someone in the 2-mile zone. There's also a concern about a lack of trained inspectors moving forward. A worry that the county has no specific plan in place to take over the inspections from the city. We've been doing it for many years. Concerns about large structures like wind or solar farms are, of course, on the top of the list. And we are concerned about those being allowed so close to city properties that it will negatively affect property owners in obvious ways. Now, to me personally, a reduction to a quarter mile seems kind of like overkill. It's kind of like taking a sledgehammer and using it to crack open a walnut. That's how I see it. The County Board of Supervisors and the Carroll City Council, we can still work this out. We can still work this out together, and it shouldn't even take that long, provided the Board of Supervisors and the City Council can work with us, that they can work with us in good faith. So on behalf of the entire City Council, I'm asking for a no vote this morning on this issue. The last thing I want to say is this. If this does pass, I'm going to remain hopeful that your vote is not unanimous, because it's obvious that the support for it of your constituents is far from unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Jerry.
Anybody else want to speak on behalf of keeping the existing 28E agreement? Okay, so would anybody like to speak on, Aaron, were you going to speak? Okay, would anybody else like to? like to speak on, in favor of eliminating what's in front of us today, the 2080? If so, please come address the board. Say your name and address. Good morning.
Allow 3 minutes as well, just to be respectful of the,
Yep,
thanks, Colin.
Colin Warnemont, 17146 Noble Avenue. We cannot vote for city officials. We cannot run for city government. We don't pay city taxes. We are county citizens. Therefore, we shouldn't have city policies forced upon us. And we in the 2 mile radius are misrepresented by a government we cannot vote for and have different ideologies than. I feel this is something that has been underexpressed in the root of all issues that have been presented to the council or to the supervisors. There's no need for a 2 mile radius other than having the city dictate what we can and cannot do on our properties, as well as the criteria our businesses and our properties fall into, whether it be ag, business, commercial, etc. If we wanted to be governed by the city, we would live in the city, not the county. In June 2023, me and my dad met with the county supervisors with our struggles in the 2080 agreement. And a year ago in March, I believe, around 90, you had a petition signed and presented to you with about 90% of the residents within it, I believe, that had signed it. It's been a year ago, and I feel like today we're beating the same drum. Therefore, today should be the day the 2 mile radius is eliminated. For the sake of the county citizens that live within it, we deserve to have the individuals we elect govern us, not the individuals we have no voice in voting for. Thank you.
Thanks, Colin.
Anybody else would like to speak in favor of eliminating the current 2080?
Morning.
Morning, please state your name, address, and I'll start the timer.
And what?
And I'll start the timer. Go ahead.
Well, I've got a lot to say.
Name first. Name and address.
Gary Geister. I live on 18454 Olympic Avenue, and I'm a concerned citizen for Carroll County.
We're going to keep it at 3 minutes, just like we did for everybody else.
Okay.
Thank you.
I want to talk about the legality of this. Stephanie's been sent email. The mayor's been sent an email, and I hope that was shared with the city council and the county supervisors. This is a copy of it. And I'm not an attorney, not a lawyer, but I've got these opinions of how this was illegal. First of all, John Worden got up and talked to the city council and told them it was illegal what they were doing. And with that, I'd like to know where is this a county map that was given out or a city map?
That was a sketch of it.
Yes,
It's not the exact boundaries, but that's a sketch.
is that a city document?
It's not a document at all. Mike, was that correct? Sarah generated that.
Sarah generated.
We generated that to just roughly show
You
2
guys
miles
did.
as a sketch. That's
Okay,
not
fine.
legal by.
So this is what the attorney, John Worden, was expressing to the city council, correct?
I can.
I don't know that, Gary.
Well, it was. I was at
He
the
called
meeting.
2 mile perimeter, not 2 mile radius, because it's not a.
Right, that's what he was trying to get across.
Thank you.
Okay, also in this letter is an opinion from Kirkwood Institute. And they talk about government overreach. Can you tell me when the county had their planning and zoning group for the county, when that was adopted? 5 years, 10 years?
Are you
More
talking-
More than that? Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
I think, aren't we required?
Well, are you talking comprehensive plan or you
No,
talking?
he's
No, I'm talking
county
about the
zoning.
board, the board,
Well, that's
Zoning
been-
commission.
zoning,
That's been.
zoning board, zoning commission.
That's a long time ago.
Okay.
Before any of us.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Well, the city also has theirs. And they have been dictating to us out here in the 2 mile coalition is what I'll categorize it as. And they have influenced what we can do on our land, correct?
The permitting process was.
Yeah, whatever,
Yes.
whatever,
The zoning's almost verbatim from county to city, but the permitting process is different.
right. Well, that's government overreach. You've got two committees eventually telling us we have what we can do and not do out here, correct?
I don't know if that the permitting is an overreach because it was a jointly agreed between the city and county back in whatever year it was.
I don't care about the agreement.
But,
I-
well, but that was illegal.
I'm gonna add a minute, Gary, because we've been going back and forth, but try to wrap up.
I've got three opinions from two different attorneys. And if this does not go back to a quarter mile, which is stated in here as the state law, then we're gonna go further. And when I'm talking about further, I'm talking about if the city was out here doing things illegally, then I'm going to go further with discrimination, tax fraud,
So I think
trespassing.
right now, the current plan is to eliminate the current agreement. And then the state law, the default law
Mhm.
is a quarter mile urban transition within all 990 counties in the city.
That's correct.
That's the current plan.
That's correct.
But
Okay.
the city could come back to us after
Yes,
that.
The negotiation.
And negotiate something else if they want.
They'll, if
Well,
this
that's
is-
fine, as long as, we live in the county.
Yeah.
And
Gary,
that's
if
where
this,
it's gonna
if this
stay.
is voted on as it's being presented today, it will go to a quarter mile. Now, that doesn't mean the city can't come back to the Board of Supervisors, and there will probably be public hearings.
Sure, they can come back at any time, but they better come back with legal, because
Exactly.
I will definitely get an opinion on
If
it.
this passes today, we'll be starting from scratch.
Okay,
Okay,
I have one more comment.
Okay.
I don't like the fact that the city, I won't mention any names, but I think we know what I'm talking about here. I do not appreciate people in the paper or on the radio twice. Now, I think the second time it was a recording. I've become the chair of this 2 Mile Coalition just from people calling me. And I will not stand for city officials bashing the county or the 2 Mile Coalition people.
that's not, okay, that's, okay.
Well, and asking for apologies. I think the apologies should be going the other way.
Okay,
The city needs to apologize to the 2 Mile Coalition for what they've done here illegally.
okay, that's, we've heard enough, but yes,
Okay.
the resolution,
Thank you.
would anybody else like to
Thank
speak
you.
on behalf
Thank you.
of, anybody else like to speak? That might live in the 2 mile area or the county? Okay, there's a motion in a second. It's a board.
To board discussion if there needs to
Discussion?
be any.
Would anybody like to add anything? No.
Well, as I've said for many times, I am willing to work with both parties. I would like to see a compromise between both the city and the county. I do see some benefits for the city having some sort of input on the outside of that quarter mile. I do think the 2 mile is too extensive, but I am willing to try to work some kind of a compromise. Regardless, this 2080 agreement is probably outdated, and as John Warren has told us, there's a lot of things that need to be changed. It needs to be eliminated. And maybe if there's a agreement or some kind of compromise to the city, that we'll have to write up a new one. You know, I think there's a lot of issues involved in this whole thing, and my comments I made last week, and I'm not making any apologies for what comments I made last week. They were done out of frustration because this has been going on for a year. It's time to move on. And I want to get this resolved and move on to other projects and not be tying up our time on this.
The city can start with a clean slate if the vote goes. Yes.
Yeah, and I think that's the point that needs to be made.
Yes, because during the city, one discussion I was at where the council couldn't decide whether 1 mile was enough, someone to keep it. But anyway, we probably will be starting from scratch. It may not be the outcome that some people desired, But I do agree with Gene, the county will continue to work with the city of Carroll and on behalf of the citizens of Carroll County.
And I did talk to our county attorney Friday, and he was supposed to be here, but evidently he's not able to be here for personal reasons. But, the 2080 agreement, it needs work on it. We can do a 2080 agreement. There was a talk like a 2080 agreement cannot be done. We can still do a 2080 agreement. There are also, as far as the letter that you referred from, there was, I always wanted to question what the merit was behind that letter. And he said there is some merit behind it, but the only merit that there is behind it is in regard to overreach is when they move the border, when it goes out past that 2 mile. That is the overreach that they were talking about in that.
Any comments, Mike?
Yeah, so this started April 1st last year. It was the first meeting in Lauderdale where there was concerned citizens. Since then, we've had 8. It's been on our agenda 8 times. Just here at the supervisor level, there's been 20 action items on there. I think we've done our due diligence. I've never had one single person besides Carolyn Seaman wrote us a nice letter. And she's a city council member. Other than that, I've never had a single person reach out to me and say they wanted to keep this. I have a petition here of 120 signatures of people that want to get rid of it. And I have had multiple, upwards of 10, I'd have to look at my notes, calls of people that say they would like to get rid of it. The people have spoken in my eyes, and that's why I vote to get rid of it.
Well, I'll be the last. And I'm going to keep it brief and very professional, unlike what was shown towards me a week ago or towards Mike. And am I disappointed? Absolutely. Will I be willing to work with the city going forward? Yes, because when I ran, I said I wanted to bridge the gap between the county and the city. And the only way you can do that is to act professionally and like adults and to not throw anybody under the bus. And yes, Mike and I were gone next week, and I advise everybody to take a little break from reality and spend time with your family, maybe hone in on how you actually really feel. Mike and I made it very clear to the board that we were going to be gone, and we didn't want any action items to be on the agenda. That is how we work up here as Board of Supervisors. We work with a good camaraderie, and the communication, when I was chair for the last 3 years, has always been there. It's the first thing we do. We communicate constantly. There is nothing that happens behind anything that not all of us talk about, but we do talk about it in public forum. The last thing I want to say is no decision can be made in a meeting outside of a public meeting. So there can't be any finalizing of a 2 mile agreement unless it's in a public setting so that the public has a say. I'm 100% beyond. Am I disappointed? Yes. Am I going to sit back and take lashings? Yes, I will. It's fine. I'm a big girl. But am I disappointed? Yes. We need to come together as adults. We've heard the citizens. Mike has said, and we have a graph of how long this has been going on. Over a year. Did it need to take a year? Nope. We need to end this today, and it needs to go away. And that's my opinion. And I want to thank everybody for stepping up. And Venners, I received your email late last night. Gary, I did receive your email. We've received all these emails. I only got one naysayer that reached out to me and said they wanted to keep it. But when you have so many people that have put their passion and volunteer hours into something that needs to go away, we've heard you, and we're going to vote on it here shortly.
Benner's letter was awesome.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
One thing I'd like to say, we received that pack from Carol, and that's the only correspondence I've got from anything to make.
And I have to give
decision
her
on this.
kudos too. She did
Yeah.
her homework. It
Nice
was a
job.
very good.
Very
packet.
informal. We got to read it. That's all I've heard from anybody. So I've heard more that want to get rid of it than I haven't heard anybody that wants to keep it, that a certain solution they want to keep it. So
And I want to thank the Board of Supervisors for keeping a very positive, informative, and not taking attacks. So thank you.
I was going to say one more thing. The reason Mike and Stephanie were chosen to work with the city council on this was Mark McCray and myself, District 1 and District 5 basically have to reside in city limits of Carroll. And Gene lives in in an incorporated area. Mike and Stephanie live in the unincorporated area, which is what a lot of where this started was in the unincorporated area. Okay, Courtney, roll call. On a motion 2025-005, rescinding City of Carroll 28E 2 mile zoning agreement.
Okay, Anderson,
Yes.
Houseman,
Yes.
Johnson?
Johnson.
Yes.
Miners,
Yes, was willing to work with the city of Carroll on additional avenues.
McCray.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries.
Thank you. Item number 4. Consider vote on resolution 2025-004, rescinding City of Glidden 28E 2-mile zoning.
Motion to rescind or remove the 2-mile zoning agreement of the city of Clinton.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Is anybody in attendance that would like to maintain the current 2-mile 28E with the City of Glidden? Anybody wanting to eliminate 28E with the City of Glidden? We have a motion and a second. I will say I reached out to Brooke Peterson twice and spoke to her probably 4 months ago and then again last week. And she has no opinion either way. It's basically it's not a big deal in the City of Glidden right now.
I also reached out with her and heard the same thing. They were here at the P and Z meeting, her, the mayor. And she's brought up to council members. No one has had any, they said they have a great working relationship with Sarah Haverhill and would like to keep it that way. And they have no problems with getting rid of it.
Awesome.
And also, I mean, it's, the state has a standard. It is what it is. The state said it, let's roll forward.
All right, Courtney, roll call, please, on resolution 2025-004, rescinding City of Glidden 28E 2-mile zoning agreement.
Anderson,
Yes.
Houseman.
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Miners,
Yes, with the same stipulation.
McCray.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries.
Item number 5, recorder quarterly report. Good morning, Ashton.
Good morning, Ashton.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning, Ashton.
Just submitting the 24-25 Q2 recorder reports. Nothing out of the ordinary, so if there's any questions, I would take those.
I like that from the previous year, the on the last page, the revenue's going up
Yeah, things have
102,000.
Definitely gone up. It's been
Yep.
very busy. We just finished an off-road vehicle renewal period and we've started on boats, so.
Yeah, it looks like it ebbs and flows through the whole program. Some are up, some are down.
Yep, it does.
No questions?
I'll make a motion to accept the recorder's report.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Item number 6, treasurer's fiscal year 26 budget review.
Got a big packet, Lisa.
Morning.
Good morning.
Okay, so I submitted to each of you a couple of budgets. The one I'm going to go through is the one you requested, which is the 2.5% for elected officials and a 4% for the insurance. My question to you is which one do you want me, format do you want me to go down? Want me to go down the budget worksheet that Courtney requested, or like the one that Jamie has where I put the revenues together and the expenses together? Because my office has 3 different function lines. So like our motor vehicle is one line, driver's license in one line, and then the administrative treasurer's in
Why
one
don't
line.
you go down to one that I prefer to go down to one Courtney said.
Okay, okay. So first of
Which
all,
one's that?
we have on the top line there is the motor vehicle registrations.
The
And-
first one she said.
Okay,
Let me know when you're ready.
I'm ready.
Okay. So motor vehicle registrations, first of all, I'm gonna tell you that I originally did it as I've done in the past, or it has been in the past. You increase it a little bit more from what you did obviously the year before, hoping that your revenues go up. I am going to tell you effective January 1 with House File 674, the county is receiving more income back for every transaction that we do a title transfer, that there is a charge collected. So for example, every title that we issue that would normally be $25, the county used to keep $250 of that 25. Now we get an additional 10. For every lien that we put on a title, we originally would keep $6. Now the county will get 16. For every road use tax, we would get $1. Now we will collect additional 10 above and beyond that $1. So when it came to projecting our revenue It's hard to do because we've actually reached out to the DOT in different offices about how to project what a budget would be for this additional income. There is not a report that we would be able to do that could say, okay, you have this many titles, take it times 10, or this much use tax, take it times 10. Because when we do a title during the day, we may do like 36 titles, but there may be like 10 of those that we don't actually charge a fee for. Because if, for example, in the morning, we get reports that say, release the liens for lien holders, print this title. We don't charge a fee for that title. But as of right now, when we run a report, it doesn't do the breakdown of those titles that actually get a charge fee and one that's not a charge fee. I personally would feel that we would at least get at least $50,000 next year of income from this, what's going on right now. And that's a low ball. I'm hoping.
So you added 17,000 to it?
17, and
Okay.
I think that's,
So you're saying if it's $10 more per one, okay,
yeah, because it's $10 more for every title, for every lien, and every use tax. So if someone has a lien, we're collecting tax and we're issuing a title, that's $30 right, or $30 right there that we're gonna collect more for every transaction. Even if we do a trailer that's a non-title trailer, but we're collecting tax, we're collecting an extra $10 for the county for that. Just, I think we'll have a better example of figure out how maybe our budget will be after like a month or two of this being in act, since it started January 1st. Give us 2 months to say, okay, this is a true accuracy of what we're gonna actually be able to collect, because I'm hoping when we run reports, it's gonna break it down differently, so we can tell exactly how much we're getting for each.
I think you'll end up being able to up that revenue.
Yeah,
Sometime during mid-year.
I think so too.
And budget amendments are a good thing.
Yes, yes.
Especially
yes.
if you're gonna up the revenue.
So that was my prediction of the different revenues, and just kind of in a nutshell, that hopefully that, the county will be making more money. So happy for that. Then we go down to the treasurer's management services, like the tax sale fees. Those are for like when we have the, when we have our June tax sale, the bidder registration fees. That's what the revenue is from that. It's been pretty consistent of how many bidders Carroll County gets. We do an online tax sale. Normally everything does get sold on tax sale except for like mobile homes and stuff, but that's been very consistent. The tax sale D fee line, that's only if a property actually goes to the point that someone loses the property because they don't pay their taxes and it goes to D. I've only seen a couple of those in the last 4 years, so I didn't put any revenue much for that. The driver's license non-county resident collection. Now that's a collection of fee. The county is allowed to charge $10 for anyone that comes into Carroll County to have their driver's license issued that they don't own property in Carroll County. We don't charge it for, it may be like a Sac County resident, but if they own farm ground or a business in Carroll, we don't charge them that $10 because they pay taxes here. But it's a courtesy that we charge. The other treasurer's fees, that is, for example, the civil penalties through the driver's license. If someone comes in and wants to get their driver's license renewed, but they have to pay a fine to the clerk's office, and we collect it through our office.
Courtney, will you change that one to civil penalties?
Which one is that?
The other
The other
fees.
treasurer's fees. Please.
And then the next one is the other miscellaneous fees. That is the bidder registration fees, like for, when we do have our people come in and they register online, that's a $5 bidder fee right now. So we upload those into the system and take that to the bank. So that is the revenue for the treasurer's office, predicted revenue. Now we go to the motor vehicle registration. That's the salaries line. I have 2 people that are in the motor vehicle registration salary lines right now. I have them both going up by 2.5%. So, like right now, the 2 salaries, if we increase it 2.5, it goes up just by about $3,000. I think it is a little bit.
Can you tell me who?
Yeah, so then that it also reflects the FICA, the IPERS, and the employees' insurance. The employees' insurance. I
So
think
Lisa,
that's-
Gene asked, who are the 2 people?
Two employees in motor vehicle.
In that line.
That would be Casey Brook and Danielle Huffman.
So one of them's a deputy, one's not.
Well, they're both deputies right now, but we're talking about maybe switching the one just to a regular hourly employee.
Yeah.
Okay, And then, so like I said, the employees, group insurance, I did increase that at 4%, okay? And then go into driver's license services, salaries, I have 2 employees in that also. That's Rosanna Schultes and Kayla Larson. The one is a driver's license deputy, the other is an hourly salary employee. I just did the 2.5 on that. And then again, the insurance, the county shares insurance is at 4%. I stayed the same with, when it came to the salaries for the regular employees, I need the treasurer's management, there's 3 people on that line. It's myself, Brooke Bruning, and then Jen Malik, my new employee that just started in May. And there again, 2.5%, but for Jen Malik. So I did, I don't know if you guys seen the sheet that I sent you. If you look at it color line, they're colored toward grids to see who's in what department. The spreadsheet that I sent you, and it does show the breakdown on that. With that being said, I think if they looked at it correctly from last year's salaries, if I do 2.5, that does not include the FICA, federal, and insurance, but the actual salaries themselves, if you do a 2.5 increase, the difference in salaries from last year to this year is $9,839. Yeah, divide by 7 people. That's at 2.5.
Thank you.
So, like again, go back to the treasury management services side. Again, that's myself, Brooke and Jen. And then you go farther down, it's the general office supplies. Now, when we do general office supplies, I did go down a little bit, that out of that line, I take out my we have water, the mail services, the printer renewals. Every year we have to buy 2 manuals. That's the Stephen Peck book and the World Data book. These books are shows the different states guidelines of how to do a title transfer. We get both of them because of what may not be in one, maybe have a better terminology in the other, just depending on what the circumstances are that we're asking for. Like what, if is a notary required, not a notary required? Do you need a POA? If there's 2 names on the title, we just find that information in those books and we have those on file just so we can look at those. We do get through the year, if any changes get done to those books, we do get those updates mailed to us through their state agencies to show what their changes are done. I also take out of that line, for example, our deposit slips for the county. When you take our bank stuff to the bank, I order my deposit slips out of there, and then like any envelopes and stuff I may order. The next line would be office publications. With the publication line, I did increase it from 2,400 to 2,500. Things are going up. I do have to advertise like my tax sale in the paper. I do advertise like delinquent tax notices, like remember to pay your taxes. I do have an advertisement on the radio to remind people to pay their taxes. But I did increase that by just $100. The actual postage and mailing, I went down from 34,000 to 33,000. I think with the postage fee postage is going up, but we have now changed also since January of last year. The county can charge, or we can charge $5 to mail outside the plates. And I think if I remember correctly, it was around $3.60 to mail out a set of plates. But depending if you put like 3 renewals in there, or a renewal with stickers, it may charge more per plate. But it just depends on how we stuff them. So we're really trying to watch what's the better way. Can we mail them in 2 separate envelopes? Do you put them in 1? But I think with that increase of the $5, when it used to be just $3, we're
But you are charging $5.
we are charging $5.
Good deal.
Yep. So I think with that being that $5 fee, that our postage, we're kind of making a balance of from what the postage office is charging us and what we're actually sending out. So
Yep.
I did decrease that. Out of that line, I also do my mailbox rental fee with the post office. And I think we have the lease with the postage meter that we have, that we mail stuff out with. And then we do, even though we charge for mail registrations and plates out, if someone does have a lien released on their title and we have to physically mail that title out to the customer, we don't get any reimbursement for that postage. So we have to kind of be able to have that on our budget too, to be able to mail these items out to individuals. The next line I have is let's see, employee mileage and substance. That's like for meetings that we go to, reimbursed for any hotels, food meetings we go to. DOT, if we have DOT meetings, they're really good about reimbursing us for mileage. I believe the reimbursement for DOT right now for mileage is only 50 cents. So, we try to have DOT make sure they pay the meetings when we go to, but, yeah. But that's what that line's for. The next line is the telephone and telegraph service. I think Scott would like to have telegraph service taken off that line.
Please.
I kept that the same. Our Western Iowa Network monthly usage line and charge bill is pretty similar. The only time we really get some higher months is if we have to contact Des Moines more for driver's license if someone is on the phone for a while trying to get something cleared up to get someone on the road. But that one I just kept the same. Office data processing and maintenance, I kept that one the same also because they're usually the same. Quarterly maintenance and copies fees are usually about the same. We do Zoom meetings a lot, so we don't have to, you know, we use the phone lines and stuff, or, you know, when we have to call in and stuff. And then the last one I have is the dues and membership fees. Those are pretty the same. It's used the same fees every year, you know, the District 1 dues and the ISAC dues. With that being said, it's District 1, I mean, I will say, and I'll announce that our office will be closed April 3rd for District 1 training in Warren County. So. Any questions on that 2.5?
Looks nice. So on your next two, the only thing that changes is salary.
Yes, the next two, the only thing that changes is the salary. We kind of mentioned earlier, I would like to maybe take the one deputy and make her an hourly employee. I would like to see if we can increase her salary by 3,000 plus a 2.5%. Along with the other two employees that are hourly, I would like to increase them by 3,000 plus 2.5% because of the market adjustment for the salaries. I've tried in the last couple of years to increase the deputies' percentages. They have not been increased since I've taken over as the treasurer. I believe the one is still at 75% and the other one at 69 and one at 71%. I would like to see if I could either increase them by at least 5% or increase my salary so that it reflects a little bit closer to the other elected officials, meaning as far as, if you go through the state and see, like if the one elected officials and within 2% of the price scale as the other elected officials. But, you know, those I gave you also in an example about the salaries. I do feel that with the increase of the revenue that we'll be collecting and the decrease in some of the office supplies that we're no longer needing to purchase, that I think that this would be doable for our office. I do appreciate my employees, and I don't want them to feel like they're not appreciated. I think it would be nice to be able to give them a pay scale that reflects for the duties that they do.
So Lisa, did you provide us a sheet of what percentage each one of your deputies is?
It's on the sheet. It's on the sheet here that you
First
look
off.
at.
Okay.
It's, if you look on the left side, it shows the current year salaries and it shows their percentages.
I
that
see
they
it.
have
Thank
right
you.
now,
Thank you.
along with the year that they started. Yeah.
I remember the first time you handed me this.
You're like, what is that?
Ago, I'm like, what is this? And now that I know how to read it,
They are color coded.
it is very easy to. follow.
Well, and
I
it's
do
tough.
appreciate the time and effort that you put into it.
It is tough because, you know, we do come out of three
Yep.
different fund lines, but basically in the nutshell, you know, if you increase us by, say, for example, that, you know, increase my salary, which would increase the deputy salaries and change the one salary to an hourly along with the two other hourlies. The difference is really, you know, $27,000, $28,000 from last year, which divided by 7 people, that's not bad.
So can we go through them, Lisa? So I have line number 7, I put an X through the 53%. Is
Which
that,
one are you on? Oh,
Which one are you on?
well, I'm on the one, yeah.
that's fine.
Which one are you at?
So I had Danielle Hoffman, I put an X through the 53%.
You put X through 53%, and we were thinking
yes.
it would be nice to increase her by $3,000 and then plus 2.5% plus she has longevity.
And get rid of the deputy status at
Yes,
50%.
yes. So she'd be at like 48,349.
Okay.
And then if you increase Jen from 40,000 to 43,000 plus 2.5, she'd be at the salary of 44,075. And then same with Kayla Larson, who's a driver's license, she's at 41,000. If you increase her by 3,000 plus 2.5, she's at 45,100.
I think we brought this up during our board review, the starting salary for the new deputy assessor or whatever was gonna be in this same range.
And the one they started in 2015, 2020, and 2024. And then, like I said, my other two deputies, Brooke Bruning and Casey Brooke and Rosanna, they're at 75%, 69%, and 71%. So they're not at the 85% range at all. When I gave them those positions, they didn't know their positions yet, so I didn't feel that it was appropriate to give them the 85 right away. But I do feel that they should be increased because they have been doing their jobs now. So I'd like to increase them by at least 5% each one.
So you're suggesting then Brooke goes up to 80, Rosanna goes to 74, and Casey goes to 76?
Correct.
Is that on here?
If
anywhere?
not more. No, I didn't have that on. there.
Okay.
We just discussed that. I didn't change. I threw out enough examples. I didn't want to throw out another one and confuse you anymore. I mean, I'd be more happy than to go back. to
Courtney, are you
today.
catching all that?
Because I'm gonna step up and talk to you.
Yeah.
Because I'm just some figures here that I can't come up
Tell
with.
me what they are.
Yeah.
This, you guys are talking about something that's not on the sheet, so.
Well, does anybody want to summarize it or do you want me to?
go ahead, Scott.
So I think what she's proposing is $3,000 market adjustment for Jen Moloch and Danielle Hoffman, and Danielle Hoffman no longer being a deputy.
And Kayla Larson. There's 3 hourly.
Oh, so there's 3 of them that you want 3,000?
Yeah, because otherwise you have Jen,
Where's the third
Kayla's
one at?
got 41.
It's
I don't see the third one on there though.
number, line 5, line 7, line 8.
Okay, yep.
Because
And then you're also proposing taking the deputies up to 80%, 74%, and 76%.
Which is marked on there, but take off the word for husband.
Yeah.
yes,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
That was, I think, the third email that I sent you guys. I would stay at the 2.5, but increase their percentages. So
We have 80, 74. What was the other one?
76.
Thank you.
It is. I was.
Yeah.
I scribbles.
It is.
So, row 8, or column H is the one that has them in it, Courtney. If you have that sheet.
Well, there's 2 of them.
But where do you come up
There's
with
two
the
sheets.
90,000?
90,000.
In that H, that's where I'm confused. I'm just,
There's 2 sheets like that.
yeah, I know there's
So
2
I don't know
sheets.
which one I'm looking at, or I should be looking at. Oh, wait a minute.
I know we got so much information. I was trying to, when I,
That's when we were, Scott talked to me earlier.
I asked him whether, I was totally confused.
Yeah.
I'm still am.
So I gave 3 examples out, the 2.5, the one with me at 9%, and then the third one was me staying at 2.5, but increasing my deputies. So
There's actually 3 of these
there's
colors.
3 of those, yep.
Well, I'm
3
missing,
separate emails, 3 separate sections.
I'm missing one then.
Yeah. And then, when, after talking to Scott, he suggested changing Danielle to just the, get rid of the deputy status and make her have market adjustment of the 3,000. And the reason why you'd have to have all 3, because otherwise Jen, who started in 2023, she's only making 41,000 a year.
So to clarify, it's a $3,000 market adjustment plus 2.5% for the raise.
Yeah,
Correct.
for those,
Well, but
for
For
those
those 3
3.
employees.
But we're not deciding on this today.
No decision.
No.
And like I said, I can go back and send you a new email with,
No, I just want to make sure Courtney's capturing this right, because on the 20th of February is when we're gonna make these decisions, and I want to be able to have A, B, or C kind of clean cut.
Yeah.
Or I guess I shouldn't say I want to, is that what the board would like?
because like I said, option 1, the first email I sent was the 2.5 straight across the ball. So option
Just-
number 2 was to get my percentage a little bit closer, salary. And then obviously the, my deputies would get their pay raises because of the reflection of me. But then, like I said, talking to Scott, changing Danielle from a deputy to an hourly salary. That's the only thing that's not on that one, because we talked about it on Friday. And then the third option was keep me at 2.5, but increase the deputies and then do the.
And we haven't got to that one yet.
No, but we just kind of discussed it
Okay,
all right
alright.
here, so it's about the same.
So Courtney, are you on board with everything?
I think so. I might
Okay.
have to ask Lisa when I
Yeah.
start.
Okay.
And I asked you, and I said, Courtney, I said,
But you kept your increase at 2.5.
yes,
On the third.
on the third path.
On,
Yep.
yeah.
Mhm.
I'm clear without reopening number 3. if
I will be
everybody else
stopping up to
is.
see you.
I'm clear.
Yeah.
I'm gone the rest of the week.
Clear as mud.
No, that was less painful than I thought. When you look at all 3 packages.
I'm missing one here. That's.
I am too.
But I'm
Looking at it online.
I'm still wondering where that 90,000 comes from.
That's what-
You'll explain it to me.
That would be if I had a 9%,
She's asking for a 9% raise.
then I'd be at 90,000.
That was option 3.
But it looks like when that.
That was option number 2, actually.
But it looks like it carries over on each one though. That's what's confusing to me. I'll stop up and talk. We'll discuss, it, okay?
Okay, I was gonna say, option 1 is 84,000, and then I think option
you catch
3
that,
was
Lisa?
90,000.
Lisa, did you catch that?
What's that?
We'll discuss it.
Okay, he shut the book. He says we're done.
I thought you wanted to arm wrestle.
That's what he meant.
Oh. Okay, thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.
And now the public can pick up on that and then.
There you go, yeah. Item number 7.
No.
Dalton Morrison and fiscal year 26 budget review for
How's it going, everyone?
Don't, great.
I'm Dalton Morrison, IT Director for the county, as most of you know. Did you guys get a chance to look over the budget I sent you?
yours. We're gonna limit you. I'm gonna set my timer for 1 hour.
Fair enough. So mine's pretty straightforward. Courtney did adjust a couple of them, just around. I don't know. Did you send him the updated one after you did that? or-
Not sure, but it was just a FICA and IPERS adjustment, because we have to round up. So
Okay, are we gonna do anything with the insurance? Are we gonna leave it at 4 or are we gonna take that back?
I think we're going to talk about that in item 11.
Okay, all right.
Jumping ahead there, Gino.
You want to trade me seats?
Yes.
No. So I guess I'll start at the first line then. The first 3, I mean, we just took, everything times the 2.5% for salaries, FICA and IPERS, was our calculation for that. So from the prior year, went to 2.5% just to account for the raises or the cost of living raise. Employee group insurance obviously is pretty straightforward as well. Just calculated out the cost for, the 12 months of what they prescribed. Data processing supplies, that's where I buy, like keyboards, mice, just, any tools, things like that for IT. That one's gonna stay the same as well, at $8,000. My mileage and subsistence, where I get paid back for mileage, pay some internet fees, if I have to pay those out of pocket. And a couple other things, that's all out of that line item. We're also keeping that at 4,000. Go
Do you
ahead.
think you need to reduce that a little just because you've never broke 3? Would you care to take it down?
I'm just getting more and more where I'm actually submitting my mileage. I used to
Okay.
not, so that's why I'm
I've
kind
made
of.
him the last couple of quarters because he's buzzing around
Yeah.
town all the time in his personal vehicle. And if he were to get in an accident or something, he's in his personal vehicle, but on company time going to conservation. So I requested, he turns it in quarterly now.
Yeah, so I mean,
Okay.
Yeah.
That clears it up. I just wanted to know there's extra money there, so.
yeah, fair enough. Telephone services, that's just our Western Hour Networks data for everybody, and telephone, I guess. But we just calculated that out for the monthly fee. I know last year I did notice that we might be a little short for what we budgeted for, so we might have to do an adjustment on that, but data processing services, that's generally if I hire somebody. I did reduce that line. You can see like this year I haven't really used it that much. The year before I did do some labor for somebody, but
Is that like computer concepts if you sub them out?
yeah, I usually just ask like 3 or 4 people to, quote out labor and decide if I want to do it myself or not. So I kind of do like my time versus theirs, I guess. So education and training, I don't really use that much. I know you can see I don't really ever take anything out of that. I have intentions to use it sometime with some time where I can maybe get a certification or something or
Because you
take a
think
class,
everybody
but
knows it.
it's just not something I'm using very much right now. But I would like to keep the money in there just in case. Data processing and office maintenance, that basically covers software fees. So,
Can we change the description on that one? Great.
yeah, you can call it software fees if that's
Okay.
easier. Software maintenance, whatever. That's generally what we pay for out of there. You know, one of the largest fees out there is almost $90,000 to Tyler, which is our financial company. So a lot of that budget gets just ate by you know, fees for whatever softwares different departments use. So
It's funny, you pay for it, but you don't even use it.
yeah, but I mean, that's kind of the way of the world with a lot of
Yeah.
these line items is I'm taking care of the computers, you know, all their data lives on my server stacks as well that I take care of and pay for. So, yeah, it's kind of intertwined my department with everybody else, I guess, if you must. Last one, I believe is the dues and memberships, we usually just pay for like our ICIT memberships and, some ISAC stuff out of there. And then last one's our data processing equipment. This is where I do projects out of. This last year, you can see I spent like $47,000 in there. One thing I do want to notate though, I was able to do 2 projects with that $47,000 by eating the labor and doing it myself. So our courthouse, I was pretty frugal when I was looking for the access points, got a good deal. We have all new Wi-Fi here, Wi-Fi 6. And I added a bunch of cameras and stuff and switches and among a few other things that generally would be about a 3-year deal. So I would like to keep that the same though. I do have some plans to upgrade some security equipment in the background to meet compliance. So any questions about any of those lines?
You still got 58 minutes left.
Fair enough.
I have no questions.
No questions? Okay.
Thanks, Dalton.
Appreciate you guys.
Thank you, Don.
Thank you.
Item number 8, approve plat. We have one plat requested by Lucas Pays, owned by Cheryl K. Collison Revocable Trust on the northeast corner of 240th and Delta.
I know where that's at and I've reviewed it. I will make a motion to approve it.
I'll second.
Motion and a second to approve the plat. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Authorize chair to sign DHS Pitney Bowes posting meter contract for.
Yeah, so I got an email from Connie Hudson. Their Pitney Bowes contract's up to renew. She did say that this new contract will cost about half of the money as the old contract, so that's a good thing. I can't she did, but I don't remember exactly. I can forward you the email. Okay. I don't think I printed it out, so.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to allow the chair to sign the DHS Pitney Bowes posted meter contract.
Second that.
Motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Number 10, Dalton had asked us not to mention what the cap is on this one, but we were sent on our proposal for cybersecurity on our property insurance. I think it was $7,800 or $8,700, and I think we all kind of agreed that it was money well spent. All agreed. So I guess this is a motion just to approve that add on to our property insurance. I'm surprised we didn't have it already.
So moved.
Okay.
Okay. Do we want to do these other optional? posts
Well,
today?
Courtney's still working with department heads. We can take
Oh,
those
okay.
off at any time on the vehicles. I think she has like 7 or 8 maybe that are going to go to liability only.
Yeah, I did hear back from the engineer, but it was at the end of the day on Friday, so I got my sheet, but I think he was the last one I was waiting to hear from. So if you want, when I get the sheet updated, I'll just email it to you, and if you're all in agreement that they can go to liability only, then I'll just forward that to ICAP, or not to ICAP, but to actually Mid-Iowa.
I agree, along with the agreement on the cybersecurity.
Sure.
Thank you.
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Item number 11, discuss fiscal year 26 Walmart insurance renewal. So when Clark was here, it sounds like we're going to be less than 0.6 of 1%. The county portion of that is $8,075. The 15% that the employees that we were talking about passing on would be $1,400 or around
$11 per employee for the entire year. The discussion was to go ahead, the 9,500 to, I don't want to say reward the employees for taking care of themselves and using generic drugs and whatever, but that was, we could supplement that with local option sales tax.
Well, we can take it out of our, well,
There's enough in reserves also,
reserves
but
in our pool, right?
Right now that we're sitting about 1.4 million
Yeah.
in our
Take it
health
out.
insurance fund, which is
she
very
said, way
healthy.
we could do it.
Yeah, I mean, you could definitely offset it with local
But
option, but I
our
don't think you
reserve,
need
our
to.
pool is almost too high, or I shouldn't say too high, but it's,
It's healthy and that's why you can tell it's 1.4 and that's why it's only a 0.5% increase.
There's nothing wrong with that.
no, that's,
And
why
that is-
I'm recommending that we do not pass it on to the employees for $1 a month.
No.
I think it's
And I would agree with that, with noting that not every year is going to be this way. At some point, there'll be some pass along.
Yeah, there's,
Because
someday it's gonna go.
It is.
well, it is already in some places. I'm on some boards that they're seeing 14% increases.
And our employees have seen that before
Yeah.
too.
Just making
so.
sure, like, I don't wanna pass it along, in my opinion, I don't want to, not this year, but be ready, cause it
It
will at
happen.
some point happen.
Happen, yeah.
yeah, when there's an increase, it definitely will have to, yes.
With our pool the way it is and these small increases, I don't, we need to. Rewarding is probably not the right word, but it is.
Well, they're taking care
They're
of
taking
themselves.
care of it
yeah.
and it's the
So
way
do
they're
we-
utilizing the system, the program.
Do we go back through all the budgets and put
She just
insurance?
removes the 4%.
I will.
increase on it?
There were several departments that had changes.
Yep.
So I think I'll just send out an email to all the departments and say it's been changed 0%. Please forward me your insurance amounts because there were some that were switching from employee spouse to maybe a family and I don't want to not include those if there's changes. So I'll let them be the ones to tell me.
So this just says discuss. I don't know that we need a motion, but can we agree that we'll take the money either out of the pool or local option sales tax, the less than 9,000?
Take it out of the pool.
I would agree to that.
I would agree to that too.
Thanks for the direction. Item number 12, auditor fiscal year 26 budget review. Coordinate,
Do you want
please
me to sit
stand
over
up,
there?
please stand up.
Absolutely.
Was we gonna do something about that
Absolutely.
health defense? They want to do something there different too? He was recommended.
I'm okay just sitting there too, but
I'm kidding, yes.
Yes.
Have all my stuff here.
we're just,
At some point, we gotta make a decision if we want to do some more changes on that health plan too that they were talking about. Courtney, didn't Clark have some additional changes that he might want us to look at?
He mentioned the stop loss,
yes.
which
Oh,
I kind of
moving
went
that
over
from
that. I went over that with Scott
Yeah.
a little bit.
From 50 to 70 or 50 to 60?
65, wasn't it?
Well, it's at 50 right now, but I think we could increase it, but our reserves are so healthy. I'll defer to, I'm not an expert on it. Courtney and Jean seem to know.
It's kind of a gamble because if you have a bunch of people that go over that, it's gonna cost you $10,000 each time.
But
And so if I say go for it, and then next year we have 20 people that went over, I'm gonna be the bad guy. So that it's a good decision for the Board of Supervisors. If it were up to me, I would leave it because our reserves are so healthy and our renewal was so low.
well, that's true, I guess.
Because we could adjust it next year if our
but
renewal
what
comes
was the
back
cost
high.
difference? Wasn't that
What?
much, the cost difference wasn't that much, was it?
I don't have it in front of me. I don't remember.
Let's take a look at that.
Okay.
Yep.
0.6%.
Cause we can make that change
Because
all
if
the way up
cost-
till May, I
cost dif-
think.
Difference isn't that
That
much,
makes sense.
then it's maybe not worth taking a gamble.
Okay. He had the sheet. I'll look at it.
Yes.
Maybe I'll just email
I'll
that
be
out.
honest, I like the way our reserves set at that, because someday we're gonna have some sort of disaster.
Yeah.
Some people's gonna get sick.
I'll email that sheet out.
Okay. I might even have it here.
Well, I mean, we haven't had an insurance increase for 3 years and this year our property.
But I
six.
mean that. That stop loss, I mean,
Oh, yeah.
I thought there wasn't much cost to it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
All right.
auditor
ready?
budget.
All right. So I did send out some comparisons due to the fact that the Board of Supervisors chose to go away with the compensation board. The elected officials are it is up to the Board of Supervisors to do the research and get comparables for each elected official and base the raise on that. I don't think it was the intent for them to use, the Board of Supervisors saying, okay, the county is going to use 2.5 in the budgeting process and not go any further as far as the elected officials. I did get some comparables for mine, and that's what I had attached here. I will go down real quick over the expenses. So my expenses are level. 473,503 for the whole department. That's several function areas and 2 different funds. Revenues are up by $31,400. As you're aware, the auditor's office does generate little to no income, but when we have a year with a city and school election, we earn some money because they have to pay us back for the cost of the election. So that fluctuates year to year. So I'm just going to read the sheet I have, and then I'll go over my budget here. So I have included a 4% for a salary increase. My reasoning for going above the 2.5 is as follows. In 2018, I chose not to replace the full-time position. My staff and I agreed to take on the additional duties. This decision has saved county taxpayers approximately $356,000 over those years. The counties I have used as comparables below have an average staff size between 4 and 3. This does not include the auditor. I only have 2 full-time deputies, and you'll see several counties have a human resource director and a budget director. So that's why I included these. If they have a human resource director, I put it in there. If they have a budget director, I put that in there as well. So you can see counties comparable with assessed value, which kind of gives an idea of the health or the money that the counties have. The next one is a census or population. That could be argued that they may or may not be as busy as we are. I disagree with some of them on there being any busier than we are, but they're population based. So that's one example. And then the last one, I kind of just use local counties that are touching us or maybe 2 over. So that's just to give you an idea of the salaries that they're receiving, how many election precincts they have. I think that's kind of an important thing when we have elections. You can see at us having 13, we're on the higher end. A lot of them have
I
less.
never thought about that one before.
I'm not, it's comparable to as far as how busy your election office would be during an election. Population also based on that too. So in my comparisons, I've included salaries because the above descriptions I talked about were the auditor's salaries comparisons. So that's those. And then I've included salaries for local city clerks and school board secretaries. Our jobs have many similarities. I believe it kind of shows a picture of where salaries are at in our county. So I listed the Carroll, Glidden school board secretaries, their salaries, and also how many meetings they have a year. Because the school board secretary would also be the secretary to their school board. So you can see the 2 schools have 12 meetings. Whereas the county, I'm just talking about regular meetings, because there's always special meetings, but we obviously. So that would be 52, which is pretty significant difference. I also included the city of Manning, city of Carroll, city of Glidden, and city of Coon Rapids, their city clerks. Their salaries, these are fiscal 25 salaries, and then the number of meetings they have. City of Carroll has 24. They're the closest, and Glidden also has 24. But there again, the county has 52. So what I did is I just took the average local comparables, that salary, and then I figured that they may or may not get like a 2% raise. I tried to be conservative there to give a updated salary. So if you did 2.5% with the stipend that I receive, I'd be $7,750 less than the average of those comparables. And then I included the 4% that I spoke about earlier, a $5,000 stipend. That would still leave me at $4,906 less than average. So I just wanted to give comparables on the county side and then also local in our county. There again, I also wanted to point out that the county level, we're anywhere from 2 to a person short of our comparable counties. And I'm not saying I want to hire 1 to 2 more people, but I think you have to take that into consideration when you're looking at salaries. So that is the salary explanation I have. I'll go through my budget. There's no changes on expenses, so we were able to do level funding, which I know is important since we're working with limited dollars. Unfortunately, my revenues remain unchanged. We receive revenues for liquor licenses and cigarette permits on the general fund side, approximately $3,750. So that varies year to year, depending on, we're just seeing fewer cigarette permits and kind of steady on liquor licenses. So the salary number you'll see in there is with what I proposed. So depending on what the board decides, that may go down. One thing I did, just because of where we were sitting with the general fund and being limited, there's a lot of counties that have their auditor take out half of their salary out of the general fund and the other half out of supplemental. And they can do that if they are, do a lot with elections. Well, I do a lot with elections, mainly because of our staff size, but I'm the one that programs all the equipment, order all the supplies, line up all the workers, do all the training. So there's no problem with me getting paid out of supplemental. So this year I put half of my salary in general and half in supplemental. So what that does is it lowers the general fund side. So there'd be more money available in case there's other departments that need it or whatever. That's doesn't have to be set in stone. We can move it back the other way too. I don't care. It's levied money is levied money, right?
One's down 33%, one of them's up 64%.
Yeah, so the overall change is no change, but so, that might be something that you guys want to discuss. I do have some numbers. I got all the budget numbers in, showing kind of where our levy would be. The general fund actually looks really good. There's probably more in reserves than what we would need. So that's a good thing. That leaves it open for you guys to make maybe some decisions on salaries that you didn't feel like you could make before. The supplemental's up a little bit. Part of that would be me moving half of my salary to that fund that wasn't there last year, but I will have that. I'm going to send that out to you all to look at. Obviously, they're pretty rough numbers, and that's with the 4% for health insurance. So if we're going 0, the health insurance, in department budgets, salaries are the biggest cost, then the insurance, right? So if you're taking 4% increase off the insurance, that does leave significant dollars either to lower the levy or to maybe some people's asks may be easier to say yes to because there's money available. But anyway, so you'll see with the budget director, I put the 5,000 up from the 3,500. That may or may not change depending on your decision. With the overtime, I lowered that from 1,000 to 250. My staff, you can see over the last 3 years, they haven't been paid out for overtime out of the general fund. Normally it's taken as comp time. And that seems to work out well.
So Courtney, back up 1 month.
Okay.
So on the 121,511, the way you split your salary up twice, is that with the 2.5% or is that with the proposed 4?
That's with the proposed.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I put them all together to come up with that figure.
That's why I added them too. And yeah. Okay.
And that's why I have trouble.
Well, like Lisa's was the same way. Yeah.
Well, I want to know who's and what.
Exactly.
So I can tell you this is half of my salary and Jessica Hobrook
Okay. Thank you.
in the general fund. And then in the supplemental, it's half of mine and Emily. So insurance, no changes to our plan. Did calculate a 4% increase in that. So that obviously will come down. So if you want to do it that way, my ask would actually be less from last year because my expenses will be less by lowering the insurance, as will some other people's. Office expenses I lowered. We're sitting pretty good with our equipment. Replaced a couple computers this year, so I did lower that to 5,300. Postage and mailing. I have a significant reserves in my postage and mailing. Just don't mail as much stuff as we used
We
to.
still have to do the House File 718 mailing this year, right?
Yeah, and I've included that.
Okay.
I've included that. But yeah, other than bill day, we don't mail a ton of stuff. And
How many people, if you asked them, really don't need that paper copy of their paycheck every 2 weeks?
Probably a lot.
I mean, is there a way you can send out something where you could eliminate?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's just,
I'm not
So our
sure.
company uses, and I'm not bringing up private, but our company uses Paylocity, and if you want like a W-2 or a pay stub, you actually just sign in online and it's there, and you print it yourself if you want it.
Mhm.
We don't get a
Mhm.
paper.
I just think it's something
we could-
that probably could go
We
away.
could
because
save
We get
money,
that
yeah.
24 times a year times 150 employees.
Yeah, well, we
That's a
don't
lot
mail,
of
first of all, we don't mail them all.
Okay.
You know, a lot of them are handed out, but I see your point. I don't know that our software has the capability to do that.
And I'm assuming with like even like a Paylocity, there's probably an annual fee to that, so it may not save us any money,
Yeah.
but I mean, I don't
We're
need.
getting in the weeds as far as
Yeah,
trying to say
weeds.
50 cents per.
There we go.
Well, it's more than that now, but
It
yeah.
all adds up.
It does.
It all adds up.
Okay, so that's why I wanted just to explain why that went down significantly. I have a pretty large reserve in there that I'm gonna pull from. Mileage and subsistence, left that the same. Telephone and telegraph, I'm leaving that. Okay,
How many
telephone
how
telephone
many telegraphs
services.
does $2,900 pay for a year?
Yeah,
Getting in the weeds.
Yeah, we're getting no weeds.
You want to change my seats?
so same amount. Education and training, no change. Legal and court, 4450, no change. Office data processing and maintenance, I did increase that a little bit just due to extra costs. I kind of calculated what it'll be costing. I'll be actually a little over on that line this year, but I think I have other places to pull to get that. Dues and memberships, I increased it by $12 just because I know that the fee I pay is going up. Office equipment, I had significant money in there at 4,000 the year before because we were going to be buying some stuff for the office. I think got everything we needed. There might be some chairs that need to be purchased this year, so I did lower that to $1,500. So you see the general fund is $64,674 less than it was the year before. Moving down to the supplemental fund, this is basically what I would call the elections fund. We have an increase in revenues. I talked about the city school elections. We get reimbursed for those. I always factor in one special. We do have one special this year in March for the Glidden schools, so we average at least one extra election a year, it seems like. So $34,900 is what I'm estimating for that. Salaries, 126, 169. That's an increase from the year before. You can see it looks significant, but like I said before,
Only 64.
I put half of my salary in the supplemental fund, thinking that might loosen up some funds in the general. So FICA and IPERS on that, insurance as well. Office supplies the same. Postage and mailing, there again, this would be election postage. Since we had that big general, I had significant reserves in postage again, so I lowered that just to factor in what I think I
Is that
might
for
use.
absentee ballots?
Yeah, absentee ballots, voter registration cards, postage for poll workers. Yeah, anything election related. Mileage and subsistence, I lowered that by $50. The ruler. Education and training, I lowered to 200. A lot of the election stuff is done online now, the training, which is wonderful. It's one of the reasons we got the TV in our office because we'll be able to do training all together. I don't like to shut the office, so I'm usually the one that goes, but I think it'll be beneficial to have it so we can all attend the training together because we all do stuff with elections. Office data processing maintenance, I left that the same. That is the fees we have to pay for the election equipment to get serviced every year. Dues and memberships, I increased that a little bit. Voting machines and equipment, I always put money in there in case I need to rent equipment if we have issues with ours, but we have new equipment and we do have spares, so I did lower that to $750, hoping that I won't have to use it. So that's election, it's administration. The next is local elections. This is directly related to election costs. We have supplies. I lowered that quite a bit. We got a lot of paper rolls and everything else. We should be good for the next couple big elections. So I lowered that to $850. Publications and notices, lowered that to 3,200, based on past history. Printing and programming ballots, no change. That seems to not go down. They it always goes up, but
So even though you have a general election versus this coming election, is there less ballots being printed this time?
there's going to be more. So,
More?
yeah.
Oh, because the way.
So if you look at fiscal 24, that 31,000, that's probably what we'll spend in 26.
Yeah, and
Unfortunately.
After I asked that question, I kind of thought of my own answer. Is because you got some of these districts where you got these things overlap that we have to have so many specialized ballots.
Correct. Yep. Yeah, combining the city and school election's a good thing because it's just one election versus two, but you have like tons of ballots. So there's cost, but we get reimbursed for that cost. So it's not
So
too
that's
bad.
why you're saying that it's going up is because of that, the
Yeah,
city and schools.
Mileage and subsistence, I lowered that by $200. Polling place rent, no change. Election officials, no change. So, you can see that fund is 6,000 or 64,674 more. So a zero net effect on the whole department as a whole. Obviously, since I'm going to be changing the insurance line, I'll be actually a less than tax asking, depending on what the insurance ends up. So that is the auditor's budget.
Any questions on the fiscal year 26 budget review?
No, I like the decrease. That's helpful.
Well, I can't promise, or it definitely won't happen year after year, but this year I was able to.
All right.
All right.
Number 13, Board of Supervisors fiscal year 26 budget review. Stephanie, you're presenting.
Okay. First item, we have miscellaneous reimbursements, which is, we had activity in 2024, 2025 of 175. Not sure what that was for. Then salaries, I think you have it in here. Do you want me to keep going?
I was just joking.
Hey, I was like, go for it.
You took the microphone and ran.
We have this in as what we had asked for everybody else at the 2.5%. I would like to make an option that we do not give the Board of Supervisors a raise and we do a freeze on ourselves this year to set the precedents that it can happen, and I would like to see that going forward.
I'd like to do the same thing.
Agree.
Yeah, that's something discussed on that.
Yeah, we'll do that on the 20th.
So
But I would-
you don't have to take it out, but I just would like to see that change, so that would go to a 0. FICA IPERS is all the same. County health insurance, well, let's change that down to a 0. General office supplies is at 150. Board proceedings is 30,000. That's would be our advertising into the newspaper. Not advertising, but the things we have to post in the newspaper. Employee mileage and substance is 9,500. Telephone services is 600. Not sure. Do we still need to have that?
Yeah, there's a little bit of a line charge for your phone, but I lowered it from 1,400 to 600 just because it's a minimal cost each
We
month.
split it last year down
There's
halfway
just an
through.
extension, I think.
Okay, and then education and training, we have 3,500 in there. It is up $500, but I just assume that's because education and training is getting a little bit more expensive,
Yeah,
going to ISAC
yeah.
and things like that.
I would agree with that.
Okay.
Yep.
And I don't know if everybody saw, but our mileage has changed. Reimbursement is 61 cents a mile. Then legal and court related services is $13,010, which is down from 16,000 the prior year. And dues and memberships is also down to 7,500. And I can't tell you why.
I can help with that.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you.
welcome. So the 7,500 is going to be ISAC, Highway 30 Coalition, and NACO.
Okay.
The line above that is going to be the HR to Renee, Union to Renee, and then the lease that we pay for the Fricky Building parking lot.
Okay.
The reason the significant change is because we're not doing the HR thing that we were, or I'm sorry, the HIPAA thing we were doing each month. That was like $1,300 a month. So.
It was a cost savings with going with
Oh,
Renee.
for sure. Yeah.
And then so overall tax asking, we are less 5,288. That is not including the.
That number will grow with the insurance and the salary reduction. Good job.
Good job, Steph.
Thanks, Stephanie.
Any questions for Stephanie?
Okay, moving on to item 14, courthouse fiscal year 26 budget review. Mike, no. Courtney.
Show it out of ruler. All right, so miscellaneous reimbursement, that's just what we get when we sell a chair or a desk. So, I mean, we had significant money in the last few years, but we were selling a lot of stuff
During
because
the
we were
remodel.
moving.
Yeah.
I do have $500 in there. It always seems like something comes up. So the salaries, part-time, overtime, FICA, IPERS, that was all based on the 2.5%. Insurance based on the 4%. So there again, there'll be a change there. Sorry, I'm trying to line it up here. Custodial supplies is the same. Telephone the same. Natural gas LP, I lowered that. I just took what we had been paying in the last couple years, and we weren't really sure where we were going to be at with the new jail and this building, but I put 15 in there, so I lowered
That's
it.
including both buildings.
It does.
Okay.
Yep.
And this is also including the Fricky building, right?
Yes, it does. Yeah. So electric power for the courthouse, didn't really see any significant savings there. So I actually increased that just based on what we've been paying. Water, I lowered that by $1,000. Building maintenance and repairs for the courthouse, I lowered that from 65 to 60. Equipment maintenance, fixed plant, left that at 50. Extermination services, left that at 2,800. Trash, 2,100. Ag and horticultural, that's like plants and spraying our yard, etc. I did increase that just based on past history. We were at 19, we were at 25, we're at 1,000 almost already. And then the safety committee, I think that's at 5,000. So actually this courthouse budget, 1,382 less than fiscal year 25. It'll be less than that even once I do the insurance adjustment. So. Any questions on that one? I did make some decreases, but I just use past history to base those numbers off of.
So real quick, so the safety committee number, if there are some things that we're gonna be purchasing to implement within the courthouse, whether it's safety buttons or things like that, or a computer program, is it coming out of that line item?
It can. We do hearing tests for those employees that need it every
Okay.
year. That comes out of there, our med chest that we have on all the floors. So I think there's money in other lines in the courthouse that, you know, if we got over or close to that budget, we could take it out of there.
We talked about, it could be between around 40,000 for those door latches. I'll talk about that later, but there is money in there this year for that.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions about courthouse? Moving on to item number 15, we're almost getting there.
Yep.
General assistance fiscal year 26 budget review.
Probably isn't a lot of questions on this one. No change.
Looks like a verbatim, okay.
So hopefully that's okay.
And I think this has been working out real well, hasn't it?
Yeah, and they've never asked for more money to run the program, so I think that's
The
good.
thing I see is there's some of these requests we're not getting on this general assistance being, they try to utilize the programs they deal with first.
Yep.
So it makes the county the last resort of payer on this.
Which is a good thing.
Yes.
Item number 17, committee reports.
How about,
You got
let
another
me do
one.
16?
Oh, I'm sorry, DHS. Fiscal year 26 budget review.
Super exciting. I did send the worksheet to the head of that department. She sent it back to me with no changes. So they're estimating the revenue to be about 48,760. Part of that is reimbursement from the state. The other part's reimbursement from their other counties. The other counties is the 7760. The state would be the 41. So yeah, on the expense side, they don't have any changes at all. Does anybody have any questions on DHS?
So I could have skipped that and we'd be 20 seconds ahead.
No, but I want to thank you, Courtney, for putting all the time and effort. I know it is part of the duties
Yep.
underneath all the 27 pages that it says use your duties, but I do thank you for all your time and effort. Yep.
Number 17, committee report.
I can go first. last week, I obviously was gone. But on the way home,
Were you?
on the way home, I had watched, both the meetings a couple times, had, conversations with city manager about it. Went back through my binder here of 2 Mile, made a nice list, and, I went to the Republican meeting and I have nothing on the list the rest of the week. I went to the Republican meeting this morning, excuse me, and I have nothing for the rest of the week. Thank you.
I can go. Last week I had conversations with the city. I had a safety meeting here at the courthouse and we're gonna follow up with some things that we want to keep doing. And then I did attend the conference board meeting, in reference to the assessor's budget for fiscal year 2026. And we set the public hearing for February 24th at noon, correct?
I think that's right.
And this upcoming week, along with Mike, I did listen to the meetings, as well on my travels back home. In this upcoming week, I do not have any official meetings, which I'm sure will be changing.
Last week, Monday, I had newspaper radio. Zach and I did go on a drive to try to locate an underground gas line near Drain 77 that is not recorded. Thought that was a little bit weird, but they were digging up by there last fall. Also Monday, RSVP board meeting. I did go to the city council meeting, which I think you all just as well have gone because you listened to it. Tuesday, safety committee meeting. Tuesday was the conference board pre-budget meeting with the supervisors, mayor, school board, set a max levy for public hearing and publication. Wednesday, toured the recycling center with new executive director of North Central Iowa Regional Solid Waste Agency, Mark Campbell, to share best practices at the Carroll location. And I did get with Dalton and he already, to get quotes on electronic door latches that we talked about in the safety meeting. The money, I think, is available and would require employees to badge in and determine which doors in the courthouse need them. And he does have a quote for the panic button system. And I asked Zach to get signage for the basement, no public entrance allowed into the basement and in the elevator. On Thursday, I did reach out to Brooke in Glidden about the upcoming rescinding the 2 Mile. I met with the treasurer to try to understand what all 3 of those proposals were. I did have a discussion with executive director of CCGP regarding economic development potential in Carroll County. RSVP had an open house come and go, and there's 277 volunteers in Carroll County. Also on Thursday, the recycling center office manager, Kathy Toms, passed away, and the landfill will be closed today at 1 o'clock to allow staff to attend her service. Friday, Anytime Fitness, Chamber Coffee. I helped set the agenda for today, and then we decided Thursday is going to work for all of us, so Courtney can get her publications and everything to set our max levy. I was the same as everybody sitting here, where all week I fielded calls and letters regarding the 2 Mile with the city of Carroll. This week, nothing's scheduled, and I currently will have limited access to emails. And Friday, I was here at 10:15, ready to rock and roll, but I was a week off. So Courtney's still looking for a helper this Friday for the DMAC career days. I volunteered, but I was a week off. So disregard my trying to step up and help out. So if anybody would like to be a tour guide with Courtney, that would be much appreciated.
When is that?
Friday,
Next Friday.
this Friday.
Or, yeah, this Friday.
Any questions?
I need to,
I'd probably be open for that.
I need to add, I got newspaper radio this week.
Okay, I can go next then. Oh.
I think you should know, Mike, you also reached out to Brooke
Yeah, I reached out to Brooke on Friday, it's at the city of Glidden.
when I was saying that. I was thinking of you.
Yeah.
Mike didn't say that.
Okay. Last week, Monday, after our board meeting, I had a meeting with new opportunities in regard to finalizing the architect for our Waukee project, which we did get done, which was SVPA out of West Des Moines we did select on. Tuesday, attended a conference board meeting here, and Thursday, I spent the morning or the day down at Des Moines at ISAC Supervisors meeting. It was a lot of legislative stuff, follow up, and it was, I think, good information. There was A lot of the theme was, of course, Kelly Garcia was going to be in the hot topics session. And it was very much stressed that we need to start approaching these people in a positive way instead of a negative way and belittle them. So do it the other way. Anyway, that was probably
To
the
the
biggest
state
thing.
people, we're supposed to reach out to them or?
No, like us, when we talk to them, we shouldn't try to belittle them.
Gotcha.
Okay, and then I did have to get back for a board meeting Thursday at New Opportunities. We did again approve that contract with SVPA. All the reports were good. Head Start was doing very well. There was some, the way things came down on Thursday, there was some considerations how much funding we were going to get or if we were going to get cut. And at this point, we're pretty confident that most of our stuff is pretty well in place yet. Then I also fielded a lot of phone calls. I had a phone call with John Warden in regard to the 2 mile and fielded a lot of emails and different things in regard to a lot of different topics, including the 2 mile. This week I have Tuesday is CCGP. And if Courtney, if you want me to be with you Friday, I can do that.
Thanks for stepping up.
Thank you.
They are gonna go up to the courts. That's where the kids will probably be the most interested. Sherry Miller said that they will allow, and I think.
What time is that?
10:15 to 11:30, Courtney, was it? Or 9:15 to 10:30? 10:30.
Oh, that means I gotta get going early then. Okay.
All right.
I'll be here.
I'll go next. Attended the safety meeting Tuesday morning. And then attended the conference board meeting on Tuesday evening. And I was with Gene at the All-State Supervisors meeting, and he said it was very, very informative. Everybody's running the same issues we have. There's no money in the budget for salaries and expenses with that state tax relief bill. Other than that, I have nothing going on this week either. I'll check my schedule and I'll see if Courtney needs my help. I'm kind of the newbie here and I might lead him in the wrong direction, but I'll see what I need to do. That's all I have.
Okay, do we have any comments from those in attendance? Courtney, next week?
We have a bill day and then we'll have our public hearing for the budget amendment. I think is that the meeting we're gonna try to keep kind of low key because you'll be gone? Okay.
And then on the 18th, can you put on there the Tuesday after, we all are off on Monday, the 17th, so Tuesday, the 18th, to rezone the 3 areas that the zoning commission recommended if we were to abolish what we did today.
Yeah, so I have zoning question mark, because I thought I'd get something from Sarah so I could be
Okay,
a little
if
more
not, when I
detailed,
get back,
but
I'll give you the.
Will
All right.
20 acre overlay go on that?
No, that will not be on that. Zoning commission has done nothing on that. So this will be east or west of Van Wall.
Yep, yep.
Okay, it'll be the 3 areas.
I didn't know if
referenced.
20 acre would be coming up or not.
So, and what we'll be doing there is the zoning commission's recommendation was to keep it as close as to what the cities had done, Glidden and Carroll, and apply it to the county.
County too, okay.
okay, so, go ahead.
The week of the 17th, we'll be meeting on the 18th and the 20th. correct?
Yes.
That's what I was just
Tuesday,
gonna.
Thursday.
And then please have your homework and research done. Make sure you're checking comparables, just a
And then
heads up.
The following week,
Salary comparables.
Yes,
We
yeah,
never
we just,
did
I mean, it's
that.
our job to collect comparables. They gave us a beautiful list of, there's not a whole lot of homework to do on that one, but we
And
do.
I have done a lot of that already too.
That's-
already.
I've got emails that I'm
Through the
getting.
budget, I've been
Yeah.
pulling up
so
different salaries.
before that meeting, the 20th, are we gonna get new emails of budgets redone? Like without
Without the insurance
Yes.
increases. I can certainly send them to you.
I would prefer
I'd like
that.
to.
Or would you rather me make the changes and redo the budget?
I think,
I'd like each department, cause if we have to go through, like, it's hard to do it right now, not knowing where we need to be on our end game. So I'd like to go back through and say, hey, we gotta get rid of something here, you know?
I will make the insurance changes
I know That's a
and
lot of work for you, but.
it's not,
Okay.
it really isn't. I'll make the changes and then yeah. And then I'll email
Will we-
updated.
Will that be at the 2.5, not the additional requests that everybody's done? Cause everybody's added in their.
Well, the problem I have is some people have, some people haven't.
So we need, okay, at that meeting, we probably need to send a list out to everybody. Invite out, everybody was requested to attend that meeting because we'll need to hear from ambulance, even though the union won't be done. But there were a couple of additional requests there.
Our union negotiations the 24th after our meeting that morning. Pretty sure.
Okay.
So I have,
And-
people to invite. I have ambulance director, the sheriff, the county treasurer, the county recorder, myself, conservation director, and the county engineer. Okay.
Say that list again.
The ambulance director, the sheriff, treasurer, recorder, me, conservation director, and the engineer.
One above the 2%.
Or
Another line
had,
item.
or had people that were.
Exactly. Those are the departments affected. Yeah, she said according.
Yeah, so I went on the Department of Management. I entered all of our revenues and all of our expenses in funds that, I don't want to say funds that matter, but levied funds and the roads fund. I did not put the capital projects or the other one because we don't levy money for those two funds. So they're not gonna, you know, we can make changes to those obviously, but it's not gonna affect the levy. So I got everything plugged in with what everybody supplied me. So there's some things that are the additional ask in here and some that aren't. So, but it doesn't look too bad.
Good.
So I thought I can send you the new updated department worksheets and then I will make the changes to the Department of Management budget for the insurance changes. And then I'll kind of highlight on there, hey, this is what our levy would be right now as we sit. And this is what the ending fund balances would be. And then you guys can see. Yeah,
So you've put in some stuff for capital projects in the courthouse like they have been?
none.
You have? Okay.
No, I have not.
Well, that's not included in there.
Nope. Nope, that's nothing extra project wise.
And normally we put some in capital.
We do.
Yeah, because there's always something comes
Well,
up.
if
But there's money in there. There's almost
there's money
80
in there
grand
to
in
paint
there.
that stairwell and to carpet the downstairs and even replace the latches and
I know, but there's always something that comes up above and
I'm
beyond.
fine with that. You guys just need to let me know, do you want to put money in the courthouse capital fund? Do you want to pull that from levied money? Or do you want to pull that from local option?
I would say.
But that's another thing, we usually transfer some local, you haven't transferred any local option either yet.
Nope.
That's
Nope.
something that we need to look at too.
So when I give you the Department of Management, you can see where the levies would be. And then you can decide.
Why don't you plug in everything you got right now and then we're gonna have to make those decisions that day.
Yeah.
Hmm?
We typically transfer from loss to offset the levy.
Yeah,
You soon may not have to.
and that's not in there yet.
Correct.
Okay. I will entertain. Thank you, Courtney.
Motion to adjourn.
Second,
Second.
all in favor, signify